Welcome. Oh, here you go. All right, y'all. Welcome back again to the Wellness Plug, where you get the entrepreneurs to talk about their health journeys and their lifestyles and what they do for our communities and how they do it. And especially, y'all know that I love most, of course, the wellness part of it, self care. And so, when you have your self care, you tend to take better care of yourself overall. It's not just about going shopping. So we have Mr. Julian here today, and I've been knowing him for a long while and going on a journey of what he does, like far as entrepreneurship and his talents. He's got so much talent and so much gifts, and I know he got a lot of things that he can share with us and tell us, so we can get our journeys to become even better. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself and what he do.
I'm Julian Ham. I'm a graphic and web designer and marketer. I just got into doing Facebook ads and working with PPC, trying to help companies get their presence or online presence in social media.
Okay. Okay. So, get into that. How did you get into web designing? Because you're not just like a regular web designer to me. Like, I've seen web designing work, I've seen logos. This man here does logos for big corporation companies and everything. A lot of people can't master that to a point to where it looks like it's supposed to be on a billboard, right? Most of it, I remember contacting him a while back for like a cartoon graphic. I'm not going. He's like really like nobody do cartoon graphics, but at the
Oh
same
no.
time, right. But I see the stuff that he's been doing and for the community and sharing with us like his talents and his skills. And as long as like I've been knowing, like he's been going through a journey with his health and everything as well. So let's jump right into it. What's going on?
Um,
What we got going on now?
I started. I got into graphic design actually as a hobby at first because I started
Mm.
off producing and writing music, and I had like it was like when I was in high school or like leaving high school, just my first 2 or 3 years off in college. I needed a way to facilitate and market it, and of course, I had a MacBook and access to Adobe software, and then I just started fooling around with it, and it kind of just grew legs and kind of took off on its own, and I kind of just dedicated and focused myself on it and put my music and my artistry a little bit on the back burner just to
Mm.
focus on something that I felt at the time would it would open more doors for me,
Mm-hmm.
being more aligned with something that's in service to bringing out the beneficiaries and production of other people's thing
Mm.
versus just doing something that was inherently selfish. And it has been, it's been a pretty overwhelming and
Mm.
good prosperous journey, a journey I'm still working on and,
Mm-hmm.
putting and planting seeds into. I'm actually hoping to get back into my music and other things going into next year because I kind of got myself to where I feel like I got a good footing to where I can kind of branch out a little bit.
Mm.
But it's been good. I've been meeting a whole lot of different entrepreneurs and people. Like I said, it's opened doors to where like it's expanded my network, and the key benefit is kind of like you said, I'm able to add and work with people within the
Mm.
black community, and a lot, black women, and it's been a pretty cool journey.
So I know that you do a lot of graphics for a lot of people, and like you said, websites and such. Um, Tell me about like one of the most favorite things. I know when we do stuff, everything's good, right? Like we just say, "Hey, everything I did was good." But tell me about a time when, because we get clients that are kind of difficult, and we get the best clients. What have you seen? Because I know you've seen a lot, and I know you've dealt with thousands of people on Facebook and Instagram and social media, to where they've became, like you said, clients of
Hmm.
yours just through watching your work and seeing what you do, and how you handle your work ethics. Um, Tell me something about that.
Um, so, and a lot of people in my field, we can kind of get into the habit of bashing or venting or getting into like these sewing circles about client
Right.
bad experiences. And you know, as a servicer, you know, that's common. But you know, I try to keep myself out of that, and you know, accept the fact that bad client experiences are good ones, because they often show you where you need to tighten up in your process, and you know how you set your professional boundaries and walking your client through how you do things. And you know, they expose that. So versus seeing it as a hindrance or a hurdle, you should try to, or at least I've learned to try to look at it and say, okay, how can I do this better the next go round, or how can I communicate this better, or bring them into a process, or vet them to see if you know even y'all are compatible. Because you know, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that business is a relationship.
Mm.
And a lot of people, you know, say when they're doing business, don't put personal into business, but business operates out of the same interpersonal dynamics, and generally how you handle interpersonal relationships, those same quirks and different things that people may need to work on or weak at will, you know, follow up into how they do things professionally.
Yeah.
And you know, people have to really pay attention and be observant to that.
Right. As to what the customer is needing. Right. And I see that in
Well,
what,
needs, communication,
yeah.
being able to, like I said, keep and create boundaries, set
Mm.
expectations, and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see that even in your work. Like literally, I see it. Like you just don't show like one or two graphics. You show them probably like four, to six graphics. So they can choose from these things. Cause like sometimes we have our mind set up on something, then we get somebody like you that expertise, you're the expert in this department to where you give us a different visual perspective as
Mhm.
to what can, look more professional, you know? And so how do you go about like with I see it, I see it, but I want you to tell the people how do you go about working with like difficult clients or clients where you have to move them from one idea to another one to make it sufficient for their businesses.
Um, and I guess maybe because I'm like real meticulous and I'm real,
Mm-hmm.
I try to execute foresight, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, you'll run into clients that have like a good, you know, innocent idea and what they may want. But as a designer or somebody who works within branding and marketing, it's my job to take your idea, but make it work past the initial point of um, initiation. And like you said, with the cartoon logos, what a lot of people don't understand is, you know, from the beginning or the foundation of your brand design and your logo, it has to be able to work in different environments on different formats.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest issue a lot of us designers have with the tune logos is, one is your face. It's hard to get, you know, a corporation or cooperation of
Mm-hmm.
a mass of individuals to work behind the face unless it's a mascot. But also, you know, those things can't be put on embroidery. Those things can't be made small into a favicon like on websites.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're spiritual too. When you look into the metaphysical aspect of logos and how they operate, like
Mm-hmm.
runes or symbols or egregores, there's a connotation with the simplicity of a logo being
Mm-hmm.
identified at a first glance. Like when you look at Nike, you look at
That's
Adidas,
right.
you look at you know, Rihanna Spencer, or all of these different things. The McDonald's M's and the arches. It should be unique to what you are and what you're trying to convey, but simple enough to where, you know, it passes the 1 to 2 second rule and the squint test. So 1 to 2 seconds, I can see it. I already know what it is and what it's about based off of the association and the familiarity. And then I should be able to pull back and squint and be able to recognize it as well as a small
Mm.
and trying to get people to understand that, and not so much recreate the wheel, because when you look at good branding and, you know, good business imagery and how they present those things, it's a
Mhm.
consistency there, but it's a minimal aspect to it, and you kind of want to
Gotcha.
stick to that and use what works.
Oh, see, you put me onto some stuff that I don't know about, with graphics. I hear people graphicing all the time. Oh, let me do something for you for $25. Let me do it for $45. And then you wonder why, like you said, don't take you a long way. I've seen where people will pay for the $25 and $45 logos, not even to get into prices or anything like that,
Mhm.
but just to mention, when they do get into that, they eventually um go another route later on. Like I mean, honestly, I want a logo, and then that's what I want to keep. Not saying forever, but McDonald's had the same M for a long time. You see what I'm saying? So when, like you said, when you see it, you know what it is. And Nike had the same check. So if you are realistic about what you're gonna put into your business, what he just said was really important. Those are things that we don't look at day to day because we don't do graphics. You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
it's definitely a long-term investment. You familiar with BP Energy?
Nah.
Okay, so BP Energy is an energy company, and one thing that was going around, I think the designer or the designer who did their rebrand, I think he got paid $10 million.
Mm.
Which, the logo, I love it. It's great. It's not something so difficult to do, but when you look at why he got paid that and the application of the logo and how many different areas it touched, because of course this logo, generally when people are paying a lot of investing a lot into logos, it's a
Mhm.
full branding system. Like
Mhm.
you're probably getting assets and icons and
Mhm.
different materials and stuff to market that
Mhm.
stuff. And that's where the wealth or the value of the investment in. Can you go on Fiverr and get a logo for like $15, $20?
Right.
Is it gonna be something unique to what you want?
Mhm.
That's a gamble because a lot of times people are getting stuff that's templated or something that's done quick. But
Mhm.
is this designer going to be working with you long term to execute and form, all of the needs that this thing needs to translate onto with all your branding, like whether it's your packaging, it's your marketing, collateral like flyers and brochures, like you said, billboards, wrappings, all of that stuff kind of has to be considered. So yes, you can cheap out on a logo, but you're not just paying for the logo, you're paying for the expertise and the foresight and forethought that the designer's going to put in there with you.
So when you mention BP Energy, because I feel like you just mentioned, like a logo goes a long way. So if you see the potential in the business, or if you already know where they're aligning to be, that's a bigger company. So of course, they would have to pay that money because you're going to be using this for longevity. You're not using this just for a period of time, and they're not really considered a small business versus um, it's a corporation, a bigger company.
That's a Fortune 500 company. That's one thing. And then two, it's not all just because obviously everybody's not going to make $10 million per project on that, but stuff like that comes through reputation, expertise, and experience, and a lot of, I'm sure in business has to do with familiarity. Because familiarity doesn't just breed contempt; it breeds trust. And knowing that this person is going to come in and get the job done and solve these problems that I need, to where like I don't have to come in and you know spend my mental or resources that I'm not privy, or what's the best word, that's not my expertise, so I can bring somebody in to take care of that for me and know what's going to get done. So all of these different factors kind of go inside to how
Right.
much you make. Just like you with what you're doing in your business, you've got the experience. You know which combination of herbs and which routines and different things to put somebody on to get them to get through
Get
a
them
program
going.
versus somebody that just started. And there's wealth in that.
Right. And that's what people don't realize, that when you have not only just the expertise, if you've been through it as well, it's easy for you to share the information. But with your experience in what you do, I see that takes a lot of mental control, a lot of mental stuff. So do you, in your form of exercising, because that is your self-care, do you do yoga? Do you meditate? What do you do to keep yourself leveled and balanced?
All the above, because I had gained a lot of weight, because like I went from like 180 to 280. Like went through depression. I had some stuff going on. I ended up getting robbed because I was doing some shit I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Ooh, that's not funny. Look, you got me
You
laughing with you.
know,
No.
yeah, but you know, like how the emotions happen. You know, I was angry. You know,
Mhm,
wanted some retaliation, and instead, you know, I was eating myself to kind of like, you know, going through
mhm.
that whole thing, and I wasn't being kind to myself. Gained a lot of weight, and you know, one thing that kind of helped me get into back into alignment with my health is, you know, I got a pit bull, a red nose, and I got to take his ass out for a walk every morning. Like he got to have it, or I can't get no work done. And then, you know,
That
I
dad.
work. Yeah, I work at a desk too, so I have to. I try to start my day with at least 4 to 6 mile walks. Like I walk him anywhere from an hour to 2.5 hours in the morning. I do my yoga and meditation, and you know, of course, I run and lift and do all of that stuff. But you know, the biggest thing is I haven't ate meat in almost 6 years. I'm working to
Wow.
I'm working to cut off dairy. I'm doing like a fruit fast and a parasite cleanse right now. So
Mm. So
veg.
yes. So look, and I can give you some tips on that for a fact. I can give you some tips, and I know you know about herbs. We're gonna get into that too, but I can give you some tips on that. So my biggest thing too is, you know, that not only just meat, you know, a lot of people they're turning to pescatarians, vegetarians, vegans, and stuff like that. I myself, I like meat, you know, whatever, but I don't eat as much. I never have. I consider myself more like on the vegetarian side versus I'm not a pescatarian because I don't eat too much of fish. I don't eat too much of any of those things, and I definitely don't eat beef or pork or and barely even chicken, but I always implement, you know, the herbs and everything else that's gonna like extract those things out, you know, regardless. But dairy, come on now, Jay, you know, dairy is like the biggest one. Like that's like the worst of the worst.
I used I used to like cheese a lot because my big thing was pizza, like Mexican food. Because I'm from El Paso, and I got you know, I grew up black, but I got like a lot of Mexican
Latinos. Hmm.
traditions in my family too, and Latinos in my family.
Hmm.
Um, so I love Mexican food, but dairy, I don't know. It's like once you get into your 30s, the food that ain't for you, your body just be like, no. And I can tell the
Oh
difference
yeah.
when I eat dairy, like cheese and stuff like that. So you know, and every now and again, like I'll do egg because I don't really consider that meat. That would be like a
Hmm.
dairy. But
Hmm.
even when I do eggs, or when I did do eggs, I wouldn't do cheese on it anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
Cheese would feel I would get more inflammation and have more
Mm.
issues with the cheese more so than the egg. And I'm weaning off of like the dairy too because I'm feeling like I gotta leave it alone. Like I don't know what it is with this sun or what's going on with the
Mm.
but I have to eat cleaner in order to like operate because everything just
Mm.
starts feeling
It
dense.
works
Like
together.
with sugar, grain, bread, dairy, like my body's saying like leave it alone, man. So
It all works together. So, okay. So, since we're going into weight loss, so what do you believe your favorite foods, which is dairy, I believe now we've heard it all, that contribute to the 100-pound weight gain?
it was just I think it was stress because you know I was eating a lot of everything. But I
Gotcha.
just kind of like was getting stagnant and you know when you kind of learn like how different ailments the body takes on based off of the emotional standpoint, you know, anger, you know, people gain weight either through anger or through fear because
Hmm.
you know you put on weight to insulate yourself,
Hmm.
you know, from you know whatever it is you're going through. So, you know, I just kind of got into a place, you know, where I wasn't really active and wasn't taking care of myself. But when I moved from San Antonio back to Dallas, I was working at a warehouse and taking care of my mom. And shit, I was working like 12, 14-hour days in a hot warehouse. And, you know, I just had started juicing because I noticed like I would get more out of my work not eating. And then, you know, even though like I had all of this weight on me, you know, I was getting like varicose veins in my legs and stuff and getting like
Wow.
stiffness in the joints and stuff. But when I would juice, and I guess you know because I was juicing, that was some sort of a fast. You know, my energy was up and I wasn't as sore, so I just started. working it to where like I was only maybe eating like one solid meal a day, and that was when I got off work. But I was just juicing, and then the weight just started falling off. And once I actually left my job and got into working from home, I started, like getting out more with my dog Judah, getting to the gym, and putting more time into that stuff, trying to get back in shape. Because like I said, I didn't want to be in my 30s like, damn, I just let it go. And I used to do martial arts. I used to do mixed martial arts and boxing, and I missed that. And just
Wow.
when you lose it, you kind of feel like you took for granted the mobility you had in your youth. And seeing your little cousins playing football and they running, and you like, shit. You don't want them coming in there sizing you up, and it's like, I need to get my shit together, man, because I can't do it like this.
Right. So
Yeah,
basically, you knew that you needed to move a little bit more, you needed more energy. And you said that juicing was one of the things that contribute to, like helping you, like
I'm
get
saying
the
it, not
kickstart.
eating meat. Yeah,
I mean,
dropping meat. That was the first thing I did. Like I was like, because I did it. I did it before I went to college, and then of course that freshman 15, and you kind of start like getting lost in all of that, the distraction and all of that stuff, falling off on what you were used to. Because I would say like my junior, senior year in high school, I stopped eating meat because that's when I stopped playing football and I started wrestling and doing jujitsu and mixed martial arts, and I had to drop weight from like 210 to
mm,
175 because I'm only like 5'8", so it didn't make
mhm,
sense for me to compete in
mhm.
martial arts or anything of that, like with 200 pounds, being this short, it would have put me at a disadvantage. So, I cut weight, stop eating meat, but, I noticed how much more energy I had, how much less I needed to sleep,
Mhm.
better mood. It was just a different experience.
Definitely. So we talked about herbs. So how are you incorporating herbs into what you're doing now? Like, so are you still juicing or you just cut off meat completely?
Hmm? Am I still juicing?
Yeah, are you still juicing or you just did that like for a period of time?
I'm juicing. I'm doing a juice and fruit fast right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like eating last week and stuff like that. But I want to try to do a juice and fruit fast this week, and then I'm gonna try to do a water fast next week. But I've been doing herbs. Like I go to Sprouts and different things. I get my Chartamine for my liver, milk thistle, and all of these different things. But the way I take my herbs is I do teas. But what I really do is what works for me is I put the dried herbs into my smoothie
Mm. Oh wow.
because I feel like one, and this is just when you start studying the science of eating
Mm-hmm.
and how
Mm-hmm.
the fibers of the food,
Mm-hmm.
how they interact with your
How they
mouth,
absorb. That's right. Mm-hmm.
absorb enzymes. It's better for me to just take in the whole herb instead
Mm-hmm.
of just the I guess the runoff with the water. So I put it in my smoothies. Like I got detox, I got some dandelion and stuff I had today,
The good stuff.
and then yeah, I take my herbs like that. My favorite herb that I keep in rotation in the oil form is oregano.
Okay.
Whole
that's
family on
that's
it,
the strong one. That's the
but
strong
it,
one.
it kills everything.
No, it does.
Parasites,
Mm-hmm.
any kind of microorganism that's not supposed to be in your body. And I knock wood, even though I don't think I can get it. I haven't gotten COVID. My mother has, even
Mm.
though she suffered a heart attack. I give it to my dog because it's good for them with their antioxidants. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
about to be 8, but people when they see him, he looks like a puppy. So
Nice.
I would say oregano, like everybody should have some oregano or oregano oil in their cabinet because, like, when it comes to like flus, colds, respiratory issues, any type of inflammation ailments on the body, like I'll massage it. Like when I'm doing like reflexology on my feet and all of
Mm.
that stuff, it's good for everything. It's a reason why the Greeks and the Egyptians used it so
Hmm.
much.
Look at you knowing about reflexology. Let me find out. Because in massaging not only just is with the reflexology and getting into the tissue, it's the lymphatic system
Hmm.
that is compressed that you keeping it and making sure that it's flowing properly. So let's get into your workout. I'm still mad about the 100 pounds. So we got into the 100 pounds. Did we go to the doctor? Did they say that there was anything wrong, far as wise, health wise, to make you just trigger off and say, "Hey, it's time for me to go"?
No, I didn't need a doctor for that because I knew it.
Mm,
I could look in the mirror. I could, take inventory on how my body felt then versus how it was when I was in tip top shape. Because like before I went to college, I had my first smokers fight set up. Like I was in the best shape of my life, and I knew how that felt versus how I was with the weight. And it was
mm,
like, my body is hurting because I'm not being kind to it. My
mm,
flexibility was down, inflammation, all of the different things, the stuff that goes on with men when we put on the ED and all of that shit that's
mm.
associated with it. So it was time for all of that to go.
It's time for it to go. Gotta go. Gotta
Yeah.
go. I
So
like that you can look at yourself in the mirror. A lot of people don't take heed to that. The first thing, we hear it from other people. And sometimes we don't even hear from our loved ones, right? Like you think that you gaining the weight, the first thing your loved one would say, "Hey, slow down." You get to a point to where, it's not looking too good on you. Or like you said, you had to look into the mirror. So would you look into the mirror and then not only just looking and seeing it, you were feeling messed up. So
yeah,
tell me now, I know you worked in the warehouse and shedded all that off, but being realistic on the more healthier side to shed, right? How do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Do
yeah.
you,
I'm a little bit more extreme. I wouldn't say the way I did it was best because, like I said, I came from wrestling and martial arts and that
mm,
type of thing. I started running, and my aunt, she's a massage therapist, and she was like,
mm-hmm.
"You putting too much on your body running
Body.
like that." But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna run." I'm getting on the treadmill for like an hour, running like 6, 7 miles, and it was hard, but through the muscle memory and the fact that
Mm,
I came from that, it was just like either I'm gonna do it or I'm not. So I ain't gonna play with it. I'm gonna get
mm,
my ass up. I'm gonna curb the type of eating, stop eating late, like after 5 or 6, and get my ass on that treadmill and start lifting weights and get my body active. And it really ain't no shortcut to that. A lot of people, try to say, how you lose weight fast and stuff like that. You have to get your body moving, and it's all in what you putting into it. Of course, you have like your cheat days or different time where like you wane off, but I fell back in love with being active. And if you aren't into a place to where you fall back in love into the physical activity and being out and getting your body moving, and I'm sure you know that like with your dance and working with people with that, it's going to be hard because you're going to see it as something that's oppositionary versus something that you're going to enjoy. So I enjoy getting up in the morning and walking the
mm,
dog. Whether I'm smoking smoking weed, to get a little bit stuff like that or not, because I used to, and I've been chilling on that, but that was another thing. I'll smoke and go to the gym and just get lost in it, have like an audio book or a podcast going and just rest in the moment of being active and not looking at it like, oh, I gotta go run. It's like, and I remember I was listening to a Kevin Gates interview, and he was like, no, you get to. So it's like I get to go run, I get to go move my body
mm.
before I couldn't just get up and go and run. So now I'm back into the space to where I get the privilege of being able to be active versus when I didn't, and you appreciate it more.
Yeah, no, you definitely appreciate it more. Like you said, you get to. So at some point, you wasn't able to do these things. Even working in the warehouse, I'm pretty sure you was kind of you shedding the pounds, but you still was hard for you day to day. Just changing little things, and implementing new things and being consistent that
Yeah.
helped you go further.
hmm
And so, with that being said, like, so are you into supplements?
Uh, Sometimes I mean I take like the men's multivitamins when they're food based, but yes, because I do know like because of the food is stripping from the nutrients we
Mm-hmm.
should supplement, but I'm kind of minimal on it. I try to do like the the organic food base. I like
Mm-hmm.
chlorophyll and sea moss
Mm-hmm.
more natural stuff. The like the pre-workout and the creatine and all of that other shit, not too
No.
much. Because I
Gotcha.
know, well, I noticed like a lot of that stuff, especially if they're like real stimulant based, it'll deplete your endocrine system. And then I also noticed too, like as a man, and what a lot of men don't should, pay attention to, especially if you get older. A lot of us will have prostate issues and issues with
Hmm.
stiffening of the hips and the psoas muscle because, if you ever look into Mantek Chia and the practice of Qigong and Qi
Hmm.
cultivation,
Hmm.
men and women have this, but it's even more detrimental to men when it's overused. In order for the energy or your chi to cultivate from the
Mm.
root, your sphincter and your psoas constricts, and that puts a lot of pressure on the lower extremities and your prostate, and it can deplete you and cause all kind of different issues,
Oh,
with your
wow.
energy, and it'll shorten it out. So like if you notice like heavy coffee drinkers and men that take in a lot of sugar and a lot of stimulants, it'll lead to prostate issues, and it'll lead to inflexibility into your lower extremities because it's a constriction there, and that's
Hmm.
how the energy is actually being formulated. And
Mm.
yoga, I learned that doing the pigeon pose, doing the frog pose, being able to open up.
Open up. Right.
That's real big for us men, not just from, dietary
And
stuff,
getting that blood to flow
but the
again,
emotions,
Hmm.
harboring, the displaced emotions in that area because, a lot of us aren't taught how to do that as much as women. That's why women are a little bit more or a lot more flexible when it comes to that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
the lower extremities too, especially with the inflammation, the blood has to circulate in those places. So when it's constricted, that's why it goes down to the grind, right? So, and women have those problems too. Even though we're a little bit more flexible than you guys, we have things like cysts and fibroids that come about that are almost at the same grade as having prostate issues and stuff like that. So I would say too, like of course, like people look at it just wellness is exercising and eating right. Of course we need to sleep better, drink more water, and implement other things as well to continue that journey. And speaking of that journey, the walking, that's a long time that you walked. That's a long time. So you said you go to the gym. What is, besides walking, what are other things that you enjoy doing during your exercises?
I like treadmill because I can kind of get them endorphins going. Like I try to run before I
Mm.
lift because I like lifting out tired because I feel like I get a little bit more out of it, like because I'm pushing myself. But like I'll run for like anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, get them endorphins going, and then I'll either do some jump rope. I do like
Mm.
circuit workouts, so like I'll set up to where like I got different weight stations, and then I'm bouncing between 3 to 5 different workouts as a set.
Gotcha.
And I love doing that, and hitting the heavy bag, doing punches and kicks and stuff like that. So
Okay. So you got a plan basically now that you're 100 pounds lighter. So what is the goal now? Are you going down 10 more pounds? Because that's a lot. So is it 10 more pounds? What that look like now?
I think I'm gonna try to drop 10 or 15. I want to get to like 170, and then maybe put on 5 or 10 and lean muscle and kind of lean out because my 33rd birthday is in October, so I gotta I gotta hit that master number right. So
Right. That
I
is a
feel like I'm
master
in that
number.
lane. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to focus in on that because I know next year I don't know if I necessarily want to compete, but I do want to get back
Mm.
into the practice of doing martial arts, whether it's MMA, boxing, or Muay Thai, or something of that nature, or even jujitsu, just because it's something I fell in love with, and it keep me balanced. And I don't know. I think it just keeps you sharp. Like I feel like men, we kind of need to have something like that. Women too, but men, we need something to, because
Discipline.
yeah, well, something you can pour into that you're gonna get a return, and then
That's right.
because I used to fuck with video games. I still do like them, but it's not a lot of return you can get on that. But and the reason why a lot of men get into it because you can get that competitiveness there.
Mm.
You still sitting on your ass. and that really don't translate to like some real world shit versus,
That's
you know,
right.
you boxing, you know, being able to do all of
Move
that.
your body. That's
Yeah,
right.
keep that body moving.
Keep that body moving. So I want to ask, what made you even get into herbs? Where did that come from? Because a lot of people they do, you know, herbs because it's a family thing. And I know why, because you told me why. But I want the people to know, like, what made you get it as a man, who taught you that? Like, where you get that from?
Um, it's it's been both my family because you know my family is real. We like a family of black sheeps. We're all so you know like with this whole woke holistic thing. My family's been on that shit since I was
Being
young.
on it.
I knew about
Right.
chakras and all of this stuff
Yeah,
in
you like
elementary
me.
school. But so my grandmother, you know, did herbal teas and stuff like that, the toddies and different things like that. But you know, my grandmother did have a lot of health issues, and I saw her on medication, and
Mm.
I don't like medication. I don't like how my body responds to it. I saw my mother and my grandmother on medication because my mother had sickle cell anemia,
Hmm.
and I
Hmm.
got the trait. And you know, I think I don't know if it was just because it was a preemie, but like I was real sick a lot as a kid, because I was conceived in Germany and then like I was brought to the States, and I don't know if it was from the immunizations or a lot of stuff, but I
Mm.
stayed sick every time the seasons changed, and it could have been you know the food that I was eating too, but. I hated going to the doctor. I hated taking NyQuil medicine and stuff like that. And you know, I noticed it really didn't make me feel better. It just felt like a band-aid until like when I got older and you know through YouTube and just having access to information because like my grandmother she would have like books on herbs and stuff and like looking into that stuff like that I just kind of started adapting that into my program and you know also like I said seeing my family do it like because my aunt's into it my uncle's into it you know, my mother and grandmother, even though they do take their medications for their ailments, and it's kind of just been in the culture. But I've also kind of been, as my mom said, a little bit more. She called it hoodoo witchy, or something like that.
You're right.
I don't know. I just if it ain't natural, it ain't me, and I just never saw the purpose or point of trying to fix something natural with something synthetic.
Mm. I
And
like
then
that.
yeah, and then also saying, you know, how people can get addicted to the painkillers and stuff
That's
like
right.
that. Because my dad was an addict. My dad was addicted to crack cocaine. So I saw him go through substance abuse and in and out of the hospitals and health decline. So, you know, being exposed and seeing all of this stuff kind of made me more drawn towards doing something that was more in alignment of health because I saw people close to me that, you know, weren't and you know not necessarily in their fault but you know when you growing up and you seeing like people you love and care about ill based off of what foods they're eating and what different things they're doing and you know it affects you when it says you know I don't want this for me and then at the same time because you know me and my mom do stay together and I take care of her you know, I noticed like when I'm not on point, she ain't on point. And I don't
Mm.
know if that's just the male leadership role or like, you know,
Hmm.
if I start slipping and eating, she like, oh, we bullshitting. Okay, so you eat junk, we eat junk. So that's even more so like I have to be on point because I kind
Mm.
of have to lead by example to, you know, motivate her to kind of get stuff in alignment because, you know, my mom's side of the family is from St. Louis in the Midwest, and you know that's a lot of comfort food, um,
Very.
Chinese food, White Castle, you know all of that stuff, which is good that I grew up on. But you know a lot of that stuff and the way we eat as Black people, it strips us from our power and
Hmm.
you know our natural ability to thrive,
That's
and
right.
we do it so passively. To where you know it's like eventually you look up and then you got diabetes, you got hypertension, you know
Hmm.
you're stressing out, your cortisol levels are low because you're not getting out in the sun enough and
Mm.
not hydrated enough because you're not eating a lot of water-based foods. You know, um,
Hmm.
A lot of people don't even eat food with water in it. It's all processed
Mm-hmm.
and cooked or overcooked or fried. And it's detrimental not only to us, but, even your pets. Because I had did a post on Facebook. One of the reasons why my dog is so healthy is I try to do raw food with him too, but like if money's tight, I'll do kibble. But I soak it in water because people don't even know that a lot of the health issues their pets are having is because they're dehydrated. Just like
Mm.
people are dehydrated, and there's
Mm-hmm.
this new kick that people are falling into about H2O versus H3O, and all
Mm-hmm.
it is that you need to eat more of your water versus
That's right.
drinking
No,
is
it's true.
cool, but you can only absorb so much water that
It's
you
true.
so.
And that's true. And I'm glad you brought that up because we do um, talk about these things, but we don't implement these things the right way. So, like you said, H2O, of course, is great. I try to implement in my programs that H2O is great, but you also need to add the minerals to it because a lot of things that we eat and don't eat don't have enough. Like you said, even the things that we do eat. That's why we have the supplementations or we have the herbs that's gonna bring those together to have enough. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But like I tell everybody, if we ate the daily value amount that everybody's supposed to eat, everybody's gonna be fat. Like even if you're eating the good stuff, right?
yeah, we eat
And
too
so,
much. We
yeah, it'd be
definitely
too
eat way
much.
too much. Like fasting is good. Like fasting is definitely good. You got to give your body time to relax, and then too with the live foods, you need enzymes. You know Jones with Chris Rock and Brandy,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
where they showed like how all of the
Mm-hmm.
microbiome was actually like living beings. Well, that's how your body is, and
Mm.
you have to replenish your microbiome with the enzymes that you eat for your food because it helps you process and take in
Mm-hmm.
nutrients. And a lot of food we eat is dead and it don't have
Mm.
enzymes in it either. So you're not even able to take in
Give it life.
all of what you're doing. You just bringing in stuff, getting a little bit, and then a lot of it is waste.
Right.
So
And that's even like you mentioned with the protein, I mean, with the enzyme, the protein levels beat out the enzymes, which causes your arteries and stuff to get, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff work together. So when we eat too much of anything and not getting enough of those things, we're not good to go. Put it like that. So yeah, I'm excited about your journey and what you're doing. I'm excited to see this cut up, lean J Ham. I'm excited about that. So, definitely, keep me posted on what you got going on. So for the last thing we coming out, I want you to tell us, of course, how to reach you on your business page and on your social medias. But I want you to give us a word of advice, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's marketing and doing what you do, or if it's health wise, anything you like to give to us.
um, I think the advice that can kind of suffice for the health and entrepreneurship because I do think it's a correlation in that.
Mm,
Make it a healthy part of your lifestyle. A lot of times in business, and I've worked with a lot of clients who may have started something and not, ran through the finish with the different things, and we all can kind of be guilty of that. But with your health and your entrepreneurship, it's a relationship. You got to feed it every day. You got to talk to it. You got to love. You got to put love into it. You got to make love to it, and you have to treat it like a person or entity because it is your health and your place of entrepreneurship, and
mm,
really try to take it in as a part of yourself
mm,
and know that you're going to get out of it what you put into it. So always try to remain a student. Always be open to learn, always be open to question, always try to find a better or a more efficient mean to do things than you did yesterday that's going to help you in health, that's going to help you in your business, and just keep building up on that. And then eventually you're going to be looking in the mirror, you're going to feel better and look better, just like eventually your business is going to be moving and
mm.
operating better. But you have to plant the seeds, you have to water it, and you have to give it the right nutrition just so your body, mind, and business can all work together.
I like that. Yes, it's so true that it's some type of correlation. It has to align in order for it to work. Because otherwise, when you don't get enough sleep, you don't eat good, your business can reflect that. And
Yeah.
that's a guarantee fact. So again, let us know how we're gonna reach you at your business and where you are, what you got going on.
Okay. I'm in Dallas, Texas. You can reach me at julianham.com. It's just my first and last name. I'm Julian Ham on Facebook, and then the Julian Ham on Instagram. TheJulian. And if you're ever interested in working with me or got any questions on how you can get started with losing weight or any things of that nature, I'm not a licensed professional, but I can tell you what works for me. I'm a little bit extreme when it comes to stuff. I don't know if it's just my personality. I'm a Scorpio. We don't half-ass shit. So, but yeah, definitely feel free to reach out.
Oh, that's nice. Look, I didn't even know you had the whole website name. I didn't know that, the Julian. Like I didn't know that. But now I know I need to go on the website and check
I
it
got
out.
another website I'm working on for my actual business, but I
Mhm.
just I'm trying to reformat stuff to where my process is getting better, to where like I can make my client process and journey a little bit more easier and updated.
Mm.
So that should be up within the next month or so because I got to recontextualize some things. But for now, my portfolio site is up to where you can kind of see some of my work and see if we're a good fit.
Well, you heard it first. So if you need some good work, and I'm talking about some corporate work that's going to be put in that you're going to be able to keep for years to come, that's who you got to go to. Well, we're going to close it here with that. And I thank you again, Mr. J. Ham, for coming in and speaking with me on the Wellness Plug. And we're going to talk to you. Hopefully, we'll have something to talk about when you come, through with the rest of your stuff a little bit later. And then we can talk about, you being cut and how you did that as well.
Yeah,
So we'll.
we can even if we can do like a Q&A or different like questions on if you want to pick my brain on entrepreneurial or design stuff. I'm down for whatever.
Yes, thank you so much.